Well, it's nice to be home, where I have gone in a span of 36 hours from being worried about exposed skin burning in the sun to worrying about it freezing. Nice to be back. So, I have spent the last 2 weeks in the United States, and I've promised myself, and it's a promise I'll make to you as well, that I was not going to spend a lot of time either there or here now that I'm back doing the cultural comparisons of how the two jurisdictions are handling the pandemic. There's been about a billion of those. They're boring. No one cares anymore. And if anything, Canada's trajectory seems to be slowly but meaningfully moving in line with the United States. What more do I need to say other than that? What I do want to say, though, just as a statement of the obvious, there hasn't been a lot of masking for us in the last couple of weeks. When we're actually flying around, masks are federally mandated in the United States. So yeah, we brought good K95 masks and we'd wear them. And when you're in a, pressurized aluminum can 30,000 feet in the air, I don't mind wearing a mask. When people are walking out and about running errands in the southern United States where I've been, you see a few masks, but you don't see many. I have now landed back home in Toronto where the mask mandate in Ontario has lifted about a week ago. And I haven't had the experience yet of being out and about running errands and really seeing what other people are doing. My gut feeling is that, Canadians will, especially Eastern Canadians, will gradually get comfortable removing their masks, but that there's going to be some time. And I suspect, and I've heard from friends in Western Canada, that the moment the mandates were off, the mask came off too. One funny thing did happen, though, and here I am just starting to get back into local Canadian politics. The Ontario Liberals, the provincial party, not the federal one, the Ontario Liberals had a campaign event a few days ago, I think just over the weekend, because the Ontario election is coming up months away, but we're getting down less months, more weeks. It's in early June, and by the time this is published, it'll be, I guess, about 9 weeks away. They had kind of a campaign event with all their candidates, the leader, a lot of group photos, a lot of smiles, a lot of team camaraderie, not a lot of masks. And they were immediately criticized for that. And they immediately, some of the people, I haven't done like a full Twitter inventory yet, but a lot of the people who were there, either current MPPs or candidates, are going, whoa, yeah, okay, our bad, our mistake, yeah, I mean, we should have been masked. It just drove home for me how political masks are in this country and how political masks have become, not only as political symbols, but also as culture war symbols. I have never minded wearing a mask. I don't enjoy it. I don't like having cloth over my face. I haven't enjoyed it at all, but I've understood why we were doing it, and I've always played ball with it. Even now, if I'm going into a store or a business that has a mask mandate, or if they prefer their customers wear masks, I'll wear a mask. You know why? Because I'm not a jerk. I got nothing to prove. I'm happy to do what other people find comfortable in their place of business. I'm the guest there. But in terms of my own personal preparedness and my own personal sensibility, I don't feel like wearing a mask anymore, and I won't in places where it's not required unless it's kind of a particularly high risk environment or if I seem to have symptoms. This seems to me like, and a lot of other people I know are in the same way, we're trying to find a reasonable way forward here. We're trying to recognize that, mass masking, awkward term, but mass masking seems to have some effect at limiting the transmission of COVID, but also other airborne viruses like the common cold or the flu. And we're also trying to recognize the fact that a lot of the mask mandates that have been in place in different places are stupid. I'm not denying the science that shows that masks can be very effective, but I'm also not going to deny that a lot of the mandates we've had are dumb. Put on a mask when entering a restaurant and then sit down and remove it because the virus can't get you when you're seated at your table. It is time for us to at least start admitting that some of the rules are stupid. Not the science, but the rules. And watching a bunch of politicians who will no doubt be campaigning on some of these issues, rip off their masks in an indoors environment, all pose for smiling photos, and then immediately take to Twitter to start apologizing for having done that. Oh gosh, yeah, it's a learning experience for us. We're going to have to do better. It's not a learning experience. It's an admission. A lot of these mandates in a lot of environments have lost their effectiveness, not because the science changed, but because we've given up on them. And for all these MPPs or would-be MPPs who are like, yeah, I should have worn my mask more during that packed indoor event, you're missing the point. It's not how it works. If you're at a packed indoor event, you're either masked or you're not. Reasonable people can admit this. Reasonable people can see the benefits of masks in some environments and admit that they're not useful in other contexts. And it's a really sad testament on so much of what's going on today that reasonable people either have no place in our politics or have to pretend they're actually not that reasonable.